All right, it says we're live, so that awkward moment of silence at the beginning should be out of the way.
All right.
Hey, Internets, it's Jake, and welcome to Mini Terrain Domain and yet another live game. I am Jake, and today we are going to be playing a one-shot that I've entitled What Lies Beneath, utilizing the Copper Jackal supplement from Absolute Tabletop, and the four players with us today are going to be playing members of the Copper Jackal chapter, The Unfallen, a group of mercenaries who specialize in undead, and they're going to need those specializations tonight. So I don't want to waste a whole lot of time, so we're going to start with some introductions. Let everybody tell you who they are, and maybe just a couple lines about what character they're going to be playing, and we're going to get right into the action. So let's start with you, Scott.
All right, my name is Scott, and I don't have anything technically to plug for myself, but I do play a lot with a gentleman named DM Ty. We have a couple of series going. He's a really good DM, and just kind of putting it out there, get more people watching it. And I will be playing Zahn, Solitude Settlebrook, Unfallen Warlock Tiefling. This first Warlock that I've ever played, so looking to whip some spells around and kill some undead. Be nice. Next.
Hello, I'm Marpals on the internet. I don't have any channels, but I will play Satres Kundras, Shifter Ranger, and I will be hunting some undead like my comrades. Thank you.
Howdy everybody, my name is Luke, and I will be playing Yera, Child of Uther, who is a Goliath Paladin, Order of the Crown, in fact, devout to the Unfallen. And that is as much as I will say. Next person.
Is that me? Alright. I am Anastasia. Don't have anything to plug quite yet, but I might in the future. And I am going to be playing Hades. She is a fighter wizard multi-class, but it's not going to look like a fighter or a wizard, I assure you. And I'm looking forward to this. This is my first online game. Looking to have a good time.
All right, sounds good. And of course, I will be playing the Game Master and numerous monsters trying to slaughter you all. So I'm just making sure, because I apologize, I forgot to get this info from you guys right before the game, but you guys are adding in the chat, so I want to make sure we got this. Marpause, you are Chondrus. Scott, you are Solitude.
Sir.
Anastasia, you are Hades. And Luke, what was your character's nickname? Or name? Luke?
When you mute yourself and you forget you did it,
Wouldn't be a hangout without a mute.
Yera, Jera.
Yera?
Yep.
All right. Make sure I get that right. Okay. And I've got your infos in there. Oh, you got some soft ACs, guys. This will be fun. Okay.
No big fighters.
All right. Sorry, this restart lost all my documents. One moment. I need one more document open. Usually a little better prepared to start. All right. There we go. Okay, so you have already, the four of you have been with the Unfallen for a little while. You're no strangers to fighting undead and all manner of undead. And you've become something of expert at it. And amongst the your base of operations, which is an undead storm giant named Uther that's been hollowed out and reinforced within. The four of you have gained a reputation for going up against the strangest of the strange. The creatures that the others maybe shy away from. So you've got a peculiar set of skills. And it's been a little while since you had your initial briefing that sent you on this mission, in which you were told that the ancient vampire, the Lady Verhalden, who had long since been thought to have been lost to time, and not a word has been heard from her in centuries. Rumors have persisted of uprisings of undead in the region of Dragongrin known as Danglamar, where there is a ruined cemetery. And it's not uncommon for hordes of undead to seep out of the Sphere Mountains, which has become pretty much overrun with undead. But for them to make it this far out of the mountains is unusual. And what's more, they don't seem to have originated from the mountains, but rather from the remnants of an ancient cemetery in Danglamar. And so that is where you have been sent, to confirm the rumors of whether or not the Lady Verhelden is actually located at this cemetery. The intel that you got is that there should be most of the structures of the cemetery, other than some crumbling tombstones, have long since decayed, but there are a series of 3 mausoleums on a hill, and it's believed that buried either within the mausoleum or possibly even in catacombs underneath is the potential resting site of the Lady Verhelden. Your mission is to confirm these rumors, and if so, stake her heart and bring her body and coffin back to your base of operations. And so you traveled towards Danglamar, and you now find yourself standing outside the rusty wrought iron gate. A few letters remain in an arc above the gateway that say Danglamar Cemetery. Beyond, it's overgrown. It looks as though it has grown over and then died and grown over and died multiple times. Parts, you can see from here that parts of the cemetery are in swamp. Very few actual tombstones remain. A mist hangs over the region, and even though it is late afternoon when you arrive, it may as well be night, for the murkiness in the air allows very little light to pass. So it's very dim conditions out here. And you can just make out, as the mist seems to, almost like a veil, seems to kind of get thick and thin, you can just make out in the distance a hill and 3 silhouetted figures, or rather shapes, that appear to be small buildings on top of this hill. So you now stand outside the gate. Who is going to enter first, and what are you going to do?
Are there any type of bodies or anything lying around? Any presence of undead?
From where you are outside the gate, you don't see any bodies lying around. your keen ears, though, you can pick up some sounds from within the cemetery of moans and shuffling, but they seem... It's very difficult to tell where they're coming from. The fog and the mist seem to kind of grab the sound and sometimes muffle it, sometimes amplify it. At times you think you even hear a sound directly behind you, and if you turn around, there's nothing there.
Well, my friends, looks like we're at it again. So, shall we step in?
Hades kind of like looks at you with sort of a vacant, almost bored expression, kind of rolls her eyes and shrugs and starts slowly walking towards the gate. Not a word.
Well, as you look towards Zahn, you'll see he has two different colored eyes. One that's glowing red, one that's kind of like almost an opal black. But you see a mirrored pair underneath his chin. And a little head pokes out of a little weasel and kind of pokes back in. I think you're right. I guess we shall go in. And he steps along behind Hades. Very stealthily and quietly. Let's not raise the dead or anything.
And it's too late for that. Satras says we need to go in. Come, Xabu. And the snake that has been following Satras since the beginning of the adventure, the big constrictor snake, follows him, and the little man, the little ranger, goes in the cemetery.
The silent hulking Goliath, Yera, waits for his companions to enter the gate, and then silently, but with that sheeting sound of metal against leather, pulls his greatsword from his the hilt on his back, and grasping it, walks behind them as the defense in the back, so to speak.
Zahn will stand at the gate holding it open, and you see 3 like almost Chinese meditation balls appear in his hand, and he starts spinning them. It's time to play. And he ushers you in, walking in with you.
And as you open the gate to let everyone in and you start walking in, the gate sounds as though it hasn't been opened in 100 years. Just in the fog just grabs this sound and amplifies it and sends it echoing through the cemetery, and you hear it reverberating back at you. And as if in response to a call, you hear from all around you, oh, and you hear the dry, brittle sound of clattering bones. You hear sing, 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 sing all over as rusted swords are pulled from moldy leather scabbards. And from the fog and behind the remnants of hundreds of broken down tombstones, you see rising what can only be described as an undead horde of zombies and skeletons. And they are advancing towards you, standing between you and the mausoleums on the hill in the distance. What we are going to do next is I would like you guys to just kind of take the reins. There are literally dozens and dozens, if not more than 100 of these monstrosities around you. But zombies and skeletons are nothing for the members of the Unfallen. So go ahead and narrate how you cut your way through this undead horde and make your way to the hilltop.
Well, Zahn, you would instantly see his copper bite. It doesn't manifest as a tattoo or anything on him. It actually coats the 3 meditation balls and almost secures them. They become part of his hands as they rotate, and he just starts winging Eldritch Blast spells. That is his bread and butter. And each one that hits, they either explode or get pushed 10 feet back, just giving us more room to wade through these. So I'm kind of like crowd control, pushing these things back, if not blowing them up.
I'll go after that. Okay, and Satras is going with his snake, his Zabu, and then they're forming a team, and the giant snake is, how can I say that? Luring the skeletons to him, and Satras is shooting some arrows. You see his copper bite on his left arm, the arm which is he shoots arrows, and it's going one after another, one after another. He doesn't stay in the back. He's a close quarter archer, and he's fighting and shooting arrows, and nothing is phasing him right now. That's okay.
When this undead horde suddenly manifests in front of them in this field, Hades almost looks disappointed. She her eyes kind of lower to half lids, and she kind of stares vacantly, and without looking down, she reaches down to a slightly larger than average scabbard next on her right leg, and she pulls it out with her right hand and just swivels it out, revealing this really nasty looking serrated longsword that kind of is black with some kind of coppery rusted green marks all over it, and she just charges in and starts mowing down these zombies and skeletons with the same vacant, bored expression and completely wordless.
As these zombie hordes approach, and his party members are mauling them down and cutting them down and just using their magic to get through them, Yera is stopping briefly as this copper mist comes from out of his nose as he breathes out heavily, like, and it swirls around his head, and soon his head is engulfed in this glowing copper mist, and he just starts. As soon as it finally engulfs, and you can see these glowing little copper eyes underneath, he starts to swing his blade slowly, faster and faster, as it starts to cut down zombies and skeletons and other misused undead.
And so the 4 of you, with very little effort, managed to cut through this horde of undead. It takes you a few minutes. Initially, they seem to be like renewing their numbers, and after about 10 or 15 minutes, your weapons and armor dripping with ichor and bone dust. And with the last, I imagine one of you just kind of, without even looking, just kind of impaling the last standing zombie, pulling your sword out, and it falls to the ground. And you find that as you've been cutting your way through this field of undead, that you are now near the top of this hill. This hilltop is dead grass and dirt and there's the few remnants of flagstones around the central area, and there are 3 mausoleums, each one of them standing about 15 to 20 feet high, and probably about 20 feet across and 30 feet long. Pretty typical of mausoleums that you would see in cemeteries, usually where families bury their dead. All 3 of these mausoleums, and for the sake of identification, we can just call them left, center, and right, appear identical.
Now, is there under the Eldritch Invocation, I actually took Whisper of the Grave, which allows me to speak with the dead without spending a slot. Are any of these undead fall within the range of being able to communicate with? It literally casts Speak with Dead. If they're too beaten up or too old, they wouldn't have the presence of mind to speak. I can't fail them for that.
Yeah, at this point, you've pretty much dispatched the last of the undead around you. And what level? You said that it basically casts Speak with
Cast at will. Yep. I have the same thing with my mage armor. I cast mage armor at will. It doesn't cost a slot.
Yeah. I'm just checking on the... I'm just going to check the spell real quick. I don't want to cheat you out of an option here.
Speak with Dead. You grant the semblance of life and intelligence to a corpse of your choice within range, allowing it to answer the questions you pose. The corpse must still have a mouth and cannot be undead. That rules that out.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I thought I remembered reading something about that. So, everybody, go ahead and roll perception, since you're kind of on guard right now.
11. Oh, wait, no, that's not right. 13, sorry.
That's a 16 for me.
20.
Plain 6 for me.
You rolling a D30?
Yeah, right? Oh, crap, I got mine wrong anyway. But 26 better than I looked at the wrong one.
Condris, you actually hear this before anybody else does. Again, seemingly almost from all around you, you hear the sound of galloping. But it doesn't sound like it's coming from the ground. It doesn't sound like it's coming from, like you don't hear or feel the hoof beats on the ground, but rather it sounds like it's coming from the air. And you can hear horses that are in a lather, and you can hear the creaking of a carriage, and it sounds like it's moving fast. And suddenly, emerging from the fog, like between where you guys are and the mausoleums, and landing, coming out of the air and landing on the hilltop in front of you, appears a black carriage drawn by 4 nightmares. The nightmares are large black horses. Their manes and tails are aflame. Their eyes are lit and glowing with fire. And they are indeed frothing. It almost looks as though the horses were in a lather of lava. They're so worked up. They look like they've been racing hard. And as they land, this carriage actually sort of skids across the ground a little bit. If a carriage can drift, that's pretty much what it just did. It drifted a little bit. And the wheels kind of stutter and protest a bit, and then it comes to a stop. The front two horses kind of rear up a little bit, start pawing at the earth and looking around, and the door, without preamble, the door to the carriage opens, and a figure emerges. He appears to be male. He is armored in plate armor and has a great sword upon his back. His skin is pale, and his features seem to be elvish. His long black hair is pulled back, and he steps down out of the carriage and immediately steps to the side. The second figure that emerges is quite wild-looking. Similar pale skin, long hair, but dark, stringy, mottled. The figure emerges, almost leaps out of the carriage, hits the ground, her bare feet digging into the earth, her long fingernails as she lands in a crouch, and she seems to be frothing at the mouth, almost like a wild animal. And you can see her sharp teeth and prominent fangs. And you see that there is a chain around her neck that's leading back into the carriage. And the third figure that emerges is the complete antithesis of this wild female figure. It is a very beautiful, again, elven-appearing woman, very pale skin. She is dressed in robes that almost have the appearance of classic Victorian garb in all blacks and reds. She even wears a sort of fancy hat that has that kind of Victorian style to it. And she holds the other end of the chain. And as she steps out, the feral one kind of lurches at you, but with barely an effort, she pulls on the chain and pulls the feral one up short and says, "Easy now, sister." And at these words, the feral one kind of skitters across the ground and heels next to the tall female. And she looks around at the four of you, and she says, "What is the reason that each of you are here? What do you hope to find in this decrepit place?" Don't everyone speak at once now.
From the Unfallen, our ability can correctly ID any undead and know one fact or weakness about them. Also have advantage on saving throws against fear from them.
You have absolutely no doubt in your mind that these three are some sort of vampire spawn.
Okay. And I guess that would be the fact that we know and not the weakness. All right. So we are here to find possibly yourself or some of your friends. Where are the rest of your friends? You are not alone.
You presume much. To think that we have friends outside of our family. I can see it in your eyes. You have no question. You know what we are.
Well, you just confirmed my answer. There is more of you. So you are not the only three.
We are the last of our kind. But we are putting an end to that tonight.
Yes, you'll be the end of your kind.
Oh, such hostility. The one in the armor, as you say this, he just kind of... You hear a cracking sound as he turns his head. And the shifting of the metal plates in his armor. And he just kind of makes himself stand a little taller. She looks over at him. Easy, brother. In time. I would like to save you all the trouble of us having to end your lives here tonight. This is your one opportunity. You may turn around and you may exit the cemetery the way you came, and you must never come back again.
Satras spat on the ground. That's your answer.
As soon as Satras spits on the ground, Hades pulls out this strange little green crystal, very small, and she kind of nonchalantly takes a bite of it. And as soon as she does this little wave of this little pulse of kind of bright green lightning starts building around her mouth, and then suddenly, without warning, this bolt of green electricity just shoots out of her mouth right at this very pompous vampire aristocrat, and I'm casting Witch Bolt.
Now, we have fought a while together. Would the rest of us kind of have an idea that when she cracks this thing, that all hell is going to break loose? Or are we a new team?
You guys have worked together enough that you would know what's going down.
I'd say so.
Then I guess Sacred Flame is also coming out.
Nice.
Knowing that as soon as she bites into this, what's going to happen? Sacred Flame is being cast, so that way they impact pretty much at the same time.
Nice.
And you're targeting the female?
Yes.
So, at the exact same time that you bite into this and this happens, and you launch Sacred Flame, the female releases the chain of the feral one, and she mutters, flips her hands in a snap, and at the exact same instant, there appears to be 3 of her.
Can I cast counterspell? Or no, I can't because I'm doing the Sacred Flame. Okay.
Yeah, you're doing the Sacred Flame. So I'm gonna give the other 2. You have an option to throw out one spell or attack that you want to launch, and then we're going to go into regular initiative order after we resolve this kind of simultaneous, everybody's firing at once kind of thing.
How far away are they from us?
I would say they're within probably 15 feet.
Okay. Yara will take a 5-foot step, a small step forward, and because of Copper Weapon, Arcanic will swing his blade around. It will glow a copper hue as the small cloud of mist comes from his nose, and essentially he is going to be casting Magic Circle on the armored vampire, which will be reversed. Instead of keeping things out, it will keep things in.
You just trapped him?
So I picked Undead. He can't willingly leave the cylinder by non-magical means. So if he tries to use teleport or interplanar travel to do so, it has to make a charisma saving throw. It has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets outside the cylinder, and targets outside of it can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by him.
Clever.
Good spell.
And Conjurus.
Yeah, you will shoot an arrow at the wild one, the chained one. So, do you want me to roll or me?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, good.
So we're gonna go in the order. We're gonna start with Hades, since you launched the Witch Bolt first.
Okay.
First thing you need to do is roll a d20.
That was a 19.
Nice. Is that with modifiers?
Nope, that's without any kind of modifier. That's not an attack roll.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's to determine whether you're going to hit one of the duplicates or the original of the 3 of the female that are now there.
I see.
And so go ahead and do the Witch Bolt attack.
Okay.
Which is, I believe that's a spell attack, correct?
Yes. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head, so I just roll like a regular attack and then add my spellcasting modifier.
Your
Yes.
attack modifier. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Oh. Okay. That's a crit.
D20. Good way to start the game.
All right.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead and roll double damage on that spell.
All right. Nice.
So just roll whatever the damage dice are. Roll it twice.
All right. Gotcha. Yeah. That's a 12. This is dumb. That fell off the table. All right. That's a 1. That's 26. Or that's 13. 13 damage.
Okay. And
You're not casting
You
it at
can-
a higher level or anything?
No, just level 1. It was kind of a nonchalant spell attack because she doesn't like higher ups that much.
you see that as it hits. Well, we'll kind of resolve this in a minute. What happened? So go ahead with the next one, which I believe was the Sacred Flame.
That it is. Roll a dice to figure out if I hit her or not. Her duplicate.
Yeah, roll a d20. Tell me what you get.
Or does her getting hit, does that not cancel out? Does she have to make a concentration at that point?
No.
Okay. Oh. You said we had 50 inspirations, right? I just rolled a natural 1.
All right. So
I call mulligan.
I need to roll a dex save.
Yep.
For this. And that's a 19. So
My it would be spell save DC is 16.
yeah, so it saves, but as the does it? I forget. Do they take half damage on a miss?
No.
On
No.
Sacred?
The
Okay.
target must succeed on a dex save or take the 1d8 radiant.
So one of the 3 of her just seems to kind of dodge out of the way, avoiding this flame that comes down, and then Yara, I
Damn
believe
you,
you were
Jacob.
the next one.
Indeed.
What's that?
Indeed. Also, that magic circle has a 10-foot radius around that armored, so anything that falls within it.
Oh yeah,
also
so you
gets-
cast. That's right. You cast that spell, and then Condrus. What were you? You were firing an arrow at the wild one.
So, can I do
Yeah,
an?
just go ahead and
Can I do a full attack action? Only one strike.
Yeah, whatever you got to do for a regular attack action for that one.
Okay, so two arrows. I've got a 19 and a 27. So is 19 hitting?
Yeah, those hit.
Okay. I'll give you first off does 11 magic damage, and the second one 14 magic damage.
So 25.
Yep.
Okay. So kind of as everybody seems to kind of fire at once, the feral one launches forward, and she actually kind of gets pulled, kind of fails to attack as these arrows hit her. You see that as your witch bolt hits, you have a pretty good feeling that you hit the original one, as she seems to kind of scream out as she gets hit with this thing, like she didn't figure that you could hit her. And the other two versions of her both kind of look at her, back at her like, ah. And the sacred flame comes down, and one of the three of her just kind of, and just almost does this like fancy spin out of the way of it. The warrior has his greatsword out in a moment. He just shing, and he starts to move forward as this magical field kind of collapses, or not collapses, but rather forms around him. And he actually doesn't make an attack. So now I'm going to have everybody roll for regular initiative.
Time for a new dice.
Should I add any modifiers to initiative roll, or is that just...
It's your dex mod.
Whatever your dex mod is.
Alright. That's going to be... So just below in the chat.
You can say it or put it in the chat.
I have a 10 because I rolled a 1.
Nasty dex, dude.
It's the alert feed gives +5, so but I still rolled a 1.
I rolled a 16 for initiative.
What's your dex mod?
Mine.
Yeah.
Plus 0.
And what's yours, Hades? What's your dex mod?
1.
Okay. You guys both have the same thing, so I'm just figuring out who's in first. So it's Hades, and then Solitude. You had, where'd you go?
6.
Is that 6?
A big whomping 6.
All right. So as this happens, just as all of this kind of happens at once, you all kind of feel, and even these vampire spawn seem to kind of hesitate for a moment as the very ground beneath you just kind of rumbles like some kind of a minor earth tremor. It just happens in an instant and then passes, and then the armored vampire spawn is going to attack first. And I just want to double check this. So he has disadvantage on any attack rolls
And he's stuck
outside. So he can't leave, but he can reach through it, correct?
He might be able to cast spells through it, but I don't think he can move out of it. And I don't know if we're close enough for him to hit us with a sword.
Not even a great sword. No, he is looking around, and his face actually turns from this almost even in his vampire form, what would be considered a beautiful face, it just suddenly changes to one of a grotesque mask of just anger, as if he's manifesting anger itself. And that anger is directed at you. Yura. He's pissed. So it is going to be Hades. You are going to be up next.
All right. So I am actually going to use the Witch Bolt effect. So on my turn, I can use my action to deal another D12 of damage, just automatically if I hit.
Yep.
So I'm gonna do that.
Good old Witch Bolt.
Yeah. So this time, seeing this target kind of reeling back in pain, Hades sort of turns her torso fully towards and really kind of stares with just this dead, boring expression just right at this vampire, and then kind of reels back and lets out another green witch bolt from her mouth, and just shocking this poor vampire. And that is D7. 7 damage. Lightning damage.
You actually, as this hits, you see the other two figures of her actually flicker. So you're now certain that the one that's getting hit with the witch bolt is in fact the original.
Okay. Cool.
And is that the end of your turn? Is that all the actions you have?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna move.
All right. Yara, you're up.
Sweet. So, Yara looks at this vampire that is obviously very pissed at him now, and he just gives off this broad smile, and he twists his sword in his hands, and he kind of points it down to the ground briefly, and then swings it back up around, like almost in a baseball swing at this vampire. And he is going to be casting Command through his sword. So he has to make a Wisdom saving throw. Oh, never mind.
Okay.
The line right after it says, the spell has no effect if the target is undead. Alright.
That's a pooper. Well, we do have this little spirited dude running down the hill, and you're the only one with a sword to really meet it. I can push it back up with Eldritch Blast, but...
I mean, I got a pretty big sword. I could maybe help.
Oh, true enough. I forgot about that, yeah.
Very quickly
do what you like, man. Right now, these guys seem a little off kilter. I think we threw Jacob for a loop here.
Nope, I'm good. You did throw me. The magic circle's got me as much as it's got the vampire. So, so you can't command, but are you doing an attack?
I'm going to cast Crusader's Mantle, which costs me an action. But every non-hostile creature in 30 feet of me gets an extra 1d4 radiant damage to their attack rolls.
Ooh. That just changed what I was going to do.
Nice. Nicely done.
I think I'm still going to go with it.
Is that the end of your turn then?
Yes.
You're muted.
All right. Okay. With 2 arrows still embedded in her, the feral one is coming right at you, Condris. And she leaps, closing the distance to you. Her claws raking out, reaching for your face. And that is a 19.
Does she come close enough for any of us to get an opportunity attack?
She's not really passing by because you guys are kind of all in the group, so.
You hit me with a 19.
Alright, so as her claws rake across you, they deal 10 points of slashing damage. And as her claws connect, as it's raking through you, she uses that to pull herself towards you and attempt to bite you for a 20.
Yes, it is.
And so you are going to take 7 points of piercing damage and 3 points of necrotic damage. Also, your hit point maximum is now reduced by those same 3 points.
Okay, it's noted.
It is now. Go ahead.
It's my turn?
No.
No? Okay.
No. It's So as this happens to you, it's now the kind of fancy female one, that's getting blasted by this witch bolt. It is her turn, and she is going to. She seems to almost be struggling to figure out what to do. She's casting about as all of this is happening around her, and looking at the warrior vampire trapped in this circle, and she just doesn't. It's like she doesn't know what to do, and suddenly she just kind of goes, takes in a big intake of air, and unleashes toward all of you a massive gust of wind. I need everybody no. Sorry, it's not everybody. I misread that.
Is this a spell, by the way?
Yes.
All right.
She's casting Gust of Wind. And basically the way this has worked is you guys are just getting smashed with this massive blast of wind. I'm going to need Condris, since it's the start of your turn, I need you to make a strength saving throw before you do anything.
Can I actually use my copper boon? It's imminent deflection. Use reaction to deflect the spell within 60 feet back on its caster. Caster must make a DC save against their own DC, or on a fail, the spell is then targeted on them and centered on them.
Absolutely.
Do that.
All right, so I got to make a DC save against her own
yourself.
spell. What is her spell save? Okay, this ought to be interesting. Oh, I just made it.
Ah!
That's a 17. She has a spell save DC of 15. So the wind falters for a moment, and then so Condrus.
I'm double checking right now, but I think it still goes through. Like if it doesn't fall back on her, then it still goes through to the original target.
So Condrus, I need you to make a strength saving throw.
Yep. 19.
What is it?
19.
Okay, the wind is pushing hard against you, but you don't get pushed back.
Okay. So the vampire is in my face, slashing at my throat. Satras says, Xabu, I need some help! And the big giant snake that was in the shadows goes to attack the vampire. I'm gonna spend one attack on the serpent, and I will make another attack. I'm splitting my extra attack action. So the snake will do a bite attack. Not a bite. A constrict attack on the vampire. Does the 15 hit?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Is that the feral one?
Yeah.
Okay. That hits.
Yeah, it takes 8 bludgeoning damage, non-magical. But the vampire is now grappled and restrained. So it's constrict by the snake, and I will do the second attack with advantage because she's restrained and I have close quarter fighting style, and I don't have any disadvantage with that. So right in her face, I throw an arrow. And does a 20 hit? Yeah.
It does indeed.
15 magical damage. And now that she's restrained, I'm gonna take a step back, like 15 feet. I'm gonna provoke an opportunity attack, but she's restrained, so.
Yeah, with her restrained, there's nothing she can do to attack you.
Just to clarify, on that imminence deflection, on a failed save, the spell is instead targeted and set it on the original caster, or dispelled if neither of these apply.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Okay, my turn is over. So. So the feral vampire is restrained by the big snake, and if you want to attack her, you have advantage. So go ahead.
Sorry, I think I froze up for a second there. All right, Solitude, you're up.
All right. Closing down stuff, I had to open up the Jackals. There's a lot of pages to that. All right. So as we stand now, we're all kind of like standing in a line facing off, I take it, and I have a snake that's boa constricting the crap out of this feral vampire off to my left, I would understand. The night dude is up on the top of the hill, all contained in his bubble. And then we have Witchy Witch, who just tried to blow everyone over like she's the big bad wolf.
Pretty much.
So, you'd see Solitude, and he notices, and he knows from fighting with these wonderful people for a while now, that this ironclad imbecile is just trapped in this bubble, and he's spinning his copper meditation balls and says, "Oh, you're gonna have fun playing with this inside there." And I'm going to cast Hunger of Hadar right inside of the bubble. And I didn't think I was actually gonna get to use this, but if he's staying there, you open a gate to the dark between the stars, a region infested with unknown horrors. A 20-foot radius sphere of darkness and bitter cold appears, centered on the point within range, and lasts a duration which is 1 minute. This void is filled with a cacophony of soft whispers and slurping noises that can be heard up to 30 feet away. No light or magical otherwise can illuminate the area. The creature fully within is blinded. and the void creates a warp of fabric in space and time. The area is difficult terrain. Any creature that starts its turn in the area takes 2d6 cold damage. Any creature that ends its turn in the area must make a successful dexterity save or take 2d6 acid damage.
Jeez. You guys just put a bucket over his head and then poured lighter fluid in there and set it on fire.
Yes, I did.
All right. So yeah, we'll resolve that damage when it's his turn. It looks like.
Sounds like a plan. He's gonna have fun
Good
playing
Lord.
with these little tentacles of otherworldly beings.
That's awesome. That is awesome. It is. It is. Well, all right. It's his turn.
As a move action, I'm just gonna kind of step away from this feral ghoul and kind of set myself up behind the front line of more experienced melee wielding weaponry people. Continue.
Go ahead and roll the 2d6 cold followed by the 2d6 acid because he can't go anywhere.
Yeah, isn't that lovely?
Yeah, his look of anger is rapidly turning to horror as he's realizing his predicament.
We have 6 cold to start, and 8 cold of acid. As these black tentacles, you can just see inside of this dome, they're also contained in there. They're just slapping, almost like octopus, this shadowy octopus arms just slapping around inside of this thing, just beating them willy-nilly.
Jeez. And he can't do nothing about it.
Isn't it lovely?
So, as this vampire warrior is screaming, and these tentacles are just grasping at him, and he's helpless inside the sphere, Hades, what are you going to do?
Laugh. Point and laugh.
So Hades is gonna kind of. So Hades is not a very perceptive person, honestly, but suddenly she kind of gets this moment of, all right, protocol, I should check on my companion. So she kind of does a quick glance around, and she sees the vampire spawn getting constricted by the snake. And she considers going over there and maybe dealing some blows, but she also knows and has worked with Sarthas a lot that he gets a little pissy about people hurting his snake, so she decides the better of it. Looks over at the large great sword wielding vampire and just sees the huge mess going on there. And so she says, well, alright, they look like they're doing fine. And you said 15 feet away or so from the vampire, so I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna use my move action and walk right up to that lady vampire, the aristocrat one, and I'm going to give a slash with my serrated longsword, which with Copper Butcher is now a D10 instead of a D8. So, but first, that is a 20 to hit.
That is going to hit.
All right, and that is going to be. Oh my, that is 2 damage. So Hades is perhaps a little bit too bored, and she overestimates her strike and just kind of nicks the vampire a little bit for 2 damage.
That's even with your strength mod, only 2?
Do I add my strength mod to damage?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Seems kind of low.
That's going to be 5 then.
A little better.
A little better. I'm going to stick with that description, though.
You've, your slash is kind of sliced at part of her garb, her Victorian garb, and she seems almost more put off by the damage to her clothing than the actual damage to her skin. And she just kind of looks at you, and she has this look in her eyes, almost like the feral one now, because she can't believe what you guys are doing to them. Yara, it's your turn.
All right. Can I tell if the heavily armored vampire is hurting? Like if I can tell if it looks like he's
It
not
would
in
be a
good
black
shape.
mass. You can't see in, can't see out.
Yeah, with this core of Hadar thing going on, you can't really see him anymore. You can hear his screams. He's not having a good time in there.
Lovely.
All right.
But you do know that that's the first damage that he's taken.
Okay. And we also have the female vampire and the feral vampire. And the feral vampire is wrapped up in a snake.
Correct.
Okay. So, you're kind of like giggling over the fact that this vampire is stuck. The heavy armored vampire is stuck in a tube, who can't escape, and he's having the time of his life. He is going to approach the female vampire, and so much technical information. Okay, with a bonus action, I'm going to cast Searing Smite. So the next time I hit, my weapon deals an extra 2d6 fire damage because I'm going to use a second level spell slot for it.
Okay.
And then at the end of each of that target's turns, it has to make a con save or take another 2d6 fire damage.
I just want to point out we totally forgot about the 1d4 radiant damage that you gave us.
Oh, yeah.
That too.
I don't know if that would count towards my Hunger of Hadar.
I think it has to be weapon attack.
Well, then
That would count with the
Hades would get it.
Oh, alright, so that's
with Hades.
considerably more damage than I thought. So, should I do the d4 right now, or
Yeah.
I can...
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and roll that real quick.
I will roll as well my bow attack. Use a weapon attack.
Alright, that's a 4.
Yeah, it adds a 3 on mine.
Okay.
And if the target or creature within 5 feet of it uses an action to put out the flames or some other effect, the spell ends. But it has to use an action to do so. Anyway, so next time it hits, an extra 2d6. So extra attack, I get 2 attack action.
Okay.
The first attack is a 25 to hit,
That's a hit.
and the second one is a 21 to hit.
Those are both hits.
Alrighty. Since the first one hits, so I make, because I got Copper Butcher, my attack, my damage from my weapons goes up another damage dice. So Greatsword does 2d8.
Plus
Which is
1d4.
Plus 1d4. I don't think I own a d4.
I used 6.
I'm gonna dump out my. There
It's
we go.
like a little pyramid. There you go.
I do have one. Yep. Okay. So, so that was. And then so right now I have 12 damage, but I'm going to spend another second level spell slot to use my Divine Smite ability. So when I hit, I deal an extra 4d8 damage. That is radiant damage.
Good lord.
And then the 2d6 fire damage on top of that. So that is a total of 35 damage in total. From my first attack.
Wait, that was your first attack.
Yeah.
And you've set her on fire, correct?
Yes, she is now on fire.
Okay.
I don't deal fire damage with this attack, nor do I do my Divine Smite with this attack.
You do get the radiant damage.
But I do get the radiant damage. And that is... 23 damage.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us what it looks like as in 2 quick attacks you eliminate this female vampire spawn.
So, Yara just walks up to this female vampire, brings down his sword in this great, radiant, almost copper-hued divine smite that makes her burst into flames. And just as a cry is going to bring out from her mouth, from fire, he... Wait, do you mean I kill her, or that I...
Oh, she's gone.
Okay. Oh, as a cry is about to escape from her mouth, on the fact that she's now engulfed, he'll very quickly turn his back to her as his blade swings around, decapitates her, and he'll swing his sword and dig it into the ground between 2 rocks.
And as you decapitate her, you can still see the look of horror on her face as from the flames. Now, you guys have killed vampire spawn before, and you've never seen them die quite like this, but you just pummeled her with so much radiant and fire damage that as you're attacking, you're breaking her apart into... She just almost disintegrates into ash, and her head just kind of goes flying with this look of horror as it just kind of peels back into ash, and her skull lands on the ground and kind of ka-thunk up against the wheel of the carriage.
Well, I hope that isn't the one that we needed to stake and bring back.
The feral one is up next and is currently wrapped up in a snake, so I assume that's a strength check to get out of that.
Yep, DC 14.
But she's not going to do that.
Yeah.
She is going to bite the snake as hard as she can.
Yeah.
Does a 17 hit your serpent?
Yeah.
And your serpent is going to take 6 points of piercing damage, 6 points of necrotic damage, and its hit point maximum is reduced by 6 points.
Okay, it's noted.
And it's your turn, Congress.
Okay, in that case, Condress will only do will shoot 2 arrows at the vampire spawn who is restrained, so I have advantage on each attacks. So first attack, both 12, so 22. I did it before. I guess I will still hit with 22. Yep. 11, 19 damage. 11 magic damage. Sorry about that. Second attack. 18 still hit, I think. Yeah. Yeah. And another 15.
As these arrows pummel into her, you can see that some of the wildness seems to go out of her eyes for a minute, and she's, for a moment, you almost see that she, as this wildness seems to kind of fade for just an instant, you see that her face looks almost beautiful like the other vampire that just was disintegrated, but very quickly that feral look returns, and it is Solitude's turn.
But
So the constrictor has this one down on the ground, constricted, or are they standing?
You tell me, Condris. Does your serpent have her on the ground, or is she still standing and wrapped up in the snake?
she's supposed to be still restrained, so you still have an advantage on that.
But is she standing, or has the snake
This is just
got her
more
on the
for
ground?
flavor than anything.
Oh, flavor. No, she's upright. The snake is.
Okay.
All right. So you see Solitude. He would just nonchalantly walk up towards this feral vampire that's all just, totally constrained, and he would hold out his left hand that has the 3 orbs going in it, and he holds out. Let's send you to meet your sister, shall we? And right at point blank, right in the face, gonna cast Eldritch Blast, and it's 2 bolts in the face, 1d10 plus 4 for me. But I do have to roll attack, and each one's with advantage, right?
Yep.
And it pushes him back 10 feet. That's why if he was on the ground, I was gonna kind of smash him into the ground. Head
Don't
first.
forget about your D4 of radiant.
Oh yes, thank you.
Well, if you hit. But-
I thought that was melee attack only.
It's weapon attack.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I got 15 for the first.
Yep.
And the second, and one fell on the floor. And I think the second one hits with a 27.
Yeah.
So 15 hits? Or
Yep.
no? Yeah? Okay. And that's 2d10 plus 4, huh? I had them set aside. There they are. It's 18, 20, 26. Point blank, right in the dome. Trying to remove this thing's head.
Go ahead and describe it as you kill this wild vampire.
So the thing's farreling out, just squirming all over the place. You can see the bite marks in the snake. And like I said before, let's send you to see your sister. And you just see the 3 meditation balls all covered in copper just come right up point blank in her face. And you just see this purple explosion. And a part of her head goes away, and all there's left is just a stump of the neck. As everything else is just obliterated into mist.
And I imagine for just a moment after that, still wrapped up in the snake, the body that's left over just kind of thrashes around wildly in spasms, and then just collapses and stops moving.
And Zahn will reach down and pick up the snake. And you see, like, the weasel kind of sticks his nose out, and he kind of touch noses, and he hands over the snake. We're not done yet.
No, we are not.
And so all that remains is the armored vampire trapped within this magic circle with this
Hunger of Hadar. Hunger of Hadar lasts a minute.
Hunger of Hadar.
How long does your little bubble last?
An hour.
So the question is, are you going to leave it in place and let this hunger of Hadar eat away at it.
That only lasts a minute, but I have 2 spells, and as long as we take a short rest, I can cast it again. I get both my spell slots back.
If you were to leave your hunger of Hadar for 1 minute, and you're going to leave that up, you can go ahead and roll. You can roll 16, 32. You know what? It's not even worth it to roll it. If that's what you guys are going to do, if that's what you want to do, before the hunger of Hadar wears off, it will devour him. So I leave it up to you if you're going to just let the spell devour him, or if you want to try to talk to him.
Should we talk to him or take a short rest as we listen to him writhe in agony?
If he dies, our mission is complete, Satras says.
I don't think this is all. These were just lonely little ones. We still have 3 monotheisms to check through.
They are 3. Maybe that was their mausoleum.
Well, one of my pets eats through this guy. Let's open him up and check.
Let him die. That's what I say.
So as he's getting...
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say
You
anything.
go ahead.
All right. And Hades, upon Santhros kind of saying, "Let him die," she sort of looks like, not really sadly, but just sort of disappointedly at this massive column of these eldritch tentacles just killing this poor vampire bodyguard. He just wanted some blood. He didn't ask for this. He's being so attacked, but she's more just kind of upset that she's not the one who's going to be the one to finish him off, and she kind of falls down, and her sword just kind of falls loosely, and she just kind of looks and waits.
As a side note, I rolled a 32 d6, and it comes out to 115 damage.
Yeah, so over the course of the next minute, as you guys are kind of, all this is playing out, you can hear kind of the eldritch horrors in this almost muffled in this magic circle, and you can hear the screams of this vampire warrior. And just before the spell dissipates, his screams dissipate first. And then the hunger of Hadar, you just see those last of the tentacles. All of a sudden you can see, and the last thing you see is an armored gauntlet kind of being drawn into this void, following after the closing of this spell, as the magic circle is the only thing that is left. At this point, about a minute has gone by.
I only took that spell because it sounded awesome, and I never thought I would get to use it, but that was great. Awesome setup.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
That was a fantastic use of those 2 things. I just picture it like one of those tall candles that's lit, and he just can't get out. And believe me, I was trying everything I could do to figure out how am I going to get this vampire out of here.
He would have had to teleport out in some way.
Poor guy.
So, but about a minute's gone by, and as your thoughts of a short rest are kind of coming into your head, there are still the 4 nightmares. They're not attacking, but they're just standing there attached to this dark, this all-black carriage. And as the last of this hunger of Hadar kind of closes off, you feel the ground rumble again, a little bit stronger this time. and you see from a couple of the mausoleums, you see stones kind of crack and crumble a little bit, and then the hill is still once again.
It seems that we are not done. Why don't we rest for a moment? Whatever's down there is not going anywhere. As for the nightmares, could you possibly cast another bubble? I'll take these things out with the same thing.
For the first time, he actually speaks a full sentence. And in a deep tone, Nira says, I would need to take a longer rest.
So we'd need to take a longer rest if you cast a bubble again, or just in general?
I need a long rest to get my spells back.
Yeah, I can guarantee you're not going to have eight hours of rest.
So no more bubbles.
I have other things up my sleeve.
The nightmares are not they're just standing there much like horses would.
Okay.
We'll leave them be. They're not hurting anyone right now. What are they going to do? Paw the ground at me?
Another tremor as the earth shakes.
This is not normal. We need to go into the mausoleum. Which of them? I don't know.
But can we possibly just rest for an hour?
Nah.
I only have 2 spell slots, man. I get them back with a short rest.
I should have mentioned this earlier, but I have the aura protection, which means all of you guys get a +2 bonus to your saving throws.
Okay.
Oh.
But we got to be within 5 feet of you.
10 feet of me.
10.
Yep.
All right, gotcha.
So everyone hug the paladin.
Oh man.
All right, so what are you going to do?
Slowly and without much exertion of effort, we're going to slowly move towards one of these mausoleums to check it out, and hopefully it takes us an hour to get there.
I find that to be highly unlikely, because about every minute or so the ground is shaking.
All right, let's go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Someone pick a door to throw.
Immediately, sort of that little slightly childish remark of the eeny meeny miny mo. Hades kind of rolls her eyes and goes to the far right one and just starts staring it up. Do I see an entrance into it?
Yeah, there's a very clear doorway, a door on the front of the mausoleum.
Okay. Oh, with my 7 wisdom, I'm just gonna go right down into the door.
John would be following shortly behind, but with a little distance.
Hopefully.
No, you take that one. We'll check this out.
Hold on, I'm missing something. All right, so you are. You said you're just grabbing the door?
Yeah, she is grabbing the door and going to throw it open, apparently with no restraint.
Yep, I'm going in. I'm not paying any attention to any traps.
I'm not going to say with no. Let's not use the word with no restraint. As you grab the door, and it has kind of a pull ring handle on it. It's kind of a heavy, rotted wooden door, but it's made of a thick hardwood that's only rotten on the exterior, and it's banded. And you grab this pull ring, and as you go to pull it, the door doesn't really come open. And you feel a little bit of give to this ring, like you shouldn't feel in an iron ring. And you realize that your hand is stuck fast to this ring.
She kind of upon pulling, kind of trying to pull away from this, and she kind of looks down and kind of gets this kind of crumpled like look of disgust and just kind of quietly says, "Ew." And then she kind of glances over and says, and like the first time in a couple of days that you probably heard her speak is, "Hand stuck. Help, please."
See, this
You
is
can try
why-
to pull it free.
Okay. In that case, for whatever saving throw or ability check she will need to do, I will use a copper call from one of my boon, which is say a word of encouragement to my allies, and she gain advantage on a saving throw, skill check, ability check, or attack roll. So,
So
go ahead, Hades. You can do it.
you will actually make the saving throw standard because you were going to make it with disadvantage. So this is going to cancel out the disadvantage.
and
Okay.
our
Cool.
paladin is standing close by with a +2 bonus.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
just.
so you do get a +2 bonus.
Is this going
So
to be
that's
just
your
a strength check or?
it's a strength check. So go ahead and roll that. Add your +2, add your strength bonus and the +2 for the paladins.
All right, gotcha. Oh, okay, that's 24. So I just kind of rip my
With-
hand away from this and kind of. Is there any residue on my hand from the door?
There actually isn't, but as you were ripping it away, it seemed like for a moment part of the handle almost matched your flesh tone. And it just kind of like if you put your hand in gum and pull away and then you get those little strands, it kind of does that for a second and then and you can see for just the briefest moment, you can see your flesh tone on the ring of this door, and then it turns back to looking like a rusted iron.
Okay. Well,
This is why we don't touch random things.
Hades just kind of rolls her eyes again, as she always does at this advice from her elders. But she does step away from the door. Any ideas, anyone?
John would hold out his hand with the meditation balls close to the ring but not touching it, and Eldritch Blast. Pushing it 10 feet back, by the way, with each hit.
All right.
Technically trying to smash him in.
Go ahead and roll like you would roll an attack.
Actually, roll an attack. I can't hit a stationary door or the broadside of a building.
Or yeah, sorry, not the. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean roll it. Yes, roll to hit the giant building that you're standing in front of. No, sorry, I meant go ahead and roll damage.
I can't hit the broadside of a building
Yeah,
if my
this
tongue
is
will
this
step
is
to
very difficult to hit this giant thing.
it.
While it's happening, Satras is going to hide behind the giant Goliath.
19. And push 10 feet back.
19 damage.
Yeah. I have successfully hit the broadside of a barn.
So you hit this door, and you're expecting it to blast backwards, to splinter open, but it doesn't.
Huh. Usually things break when
And-
I do that.
Instead, it reacts by seeming to almost as if the wood like kind of bubbles where you hit it and begins to kind of reach out like this. And the only way I can think to describe this is if you've seen the movie Abyss, The Abyss, the way the water kind of forms like this tendril.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, but it's made of door, it seems. And it kind of rears out and it's like it's going to strike. I need everybody to roll initiative.
Initiative.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Vampire spawns to doors.
I think I know what it is, but I'm not gonna say anything because that'd be meta.
20, 27.
11.
Hades is 11. Did you say 27, Condrus?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And then, Yara, what do you got?
Okay, can you re-describe what's happening? The mausoleum is twisting, I'm not sure.
The door where it was struck with this eldritch blast seems to have kind of formed like a tendril of wood that's like the size of an arm is lashing out from the door. I need Yara's initiative.
3.
All right. So as this thing looks like it's preparing to strike, I kind of... Well, Solitude, you're up. As of right now, it appears that you're attacking a door with
And you're
some
muted.
kind of a super pod.
I won with an 18. I think Mapar's got 27.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's so far up on my list.
Like,
Condrus.
yeah,
I didn't think I was going that high.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot 2 straight arrows at the thing. So let's see
All right.
what happens in that case. I have 15. Does a 15 hit?
It does.
Okay, so I have a 23. So both will hit. I have a 9 damage magical and 11 damage magical. And Satras will say, "What is that monstrosity? Is it what I think it is?" And Satras has a favorite in me, monstrosity, undead. So is it related to one of these things?
For you said monstrosity or undead?
Yeah.
It is in fact a monstrosity.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. What is this feature you said? I didn't hear.
Favorite in me. Favorite in me.
Oh, okay. Yep. So it is indeed a monstrosity. And you even see as your arrows hit, and I'll see that the entirety of this mausoleum, where the arrows hit, it's like ripples extend all the way around, and it kind of goes through a shift of different colors for a moment, and then returns real quickly back to its appearance as a mausoleum. And now it is indeed Solitude's turn.
Yeah.
If you're done, Condrus.
Yeah, I'm done. Just get back. So I will go back a few feet further back, and my turn will be over.
At the shout, Zahn would definitely like tuck and roll as this tendril, this wooden splinter tendril, starts coming out, reaching for his hand that he just shot the Eldritch Blast from. He would look down and see that, expecting the door to have blown in, and the tendril comes out and he just jumps and tumbles and rolls, and as that happens, 2 arrows go zipping over his rolling body as he's screaming to get back. And from there, can I make any type of check to see if I know what this is? Is it like Arcana based by chance?
You could make a nature.
All right. I'm not really. Actually, I am proficient in nature, so. 24.
This matches up with tales you've heard, though you've never seen nor heard of one so large. In your experience, these creatures are typically found in dungeons, pretending to be doors or treasure chests. But what you appear to have found is a mausoleum-sized mimic.
Nice. It's a mimic. Ah. But the other DM that I play with, our big running joke within the game is that everything's a mimic. So this is just epic.
And so as you're kind of making this realization, as if to emphasize it, the door, this tendril kind of fades back in, and the door where the planks are actually just kind of goes and opens up, and part of the stone opens along it too, and the whole front of this thing appears to be a mouth filled with rows and rows of jagged teeth.
Jagged wooden splintery teeth. Nice. So from hitting this thing with the Eldritch Blast, it didn't move it at all. Is it because it's just so large of a being, or is it
It's so
actually
massive.
stationary?
This thing is massive. It's considered huge size.
So we can expect this thing to move, is what you're saying. What I'm trying to figure out is if is this a stationary object or not?
Well, if it were a mausoleum, it would probably be stationary, but you know
But
that
it's not,
mimics
okay.
do have the ability. They're slow. Mimics are slow, and you haven't seen this one move yet, but knows?
So to start with, I guess I'll hit it with 2 Eldritch Blast. 2 more of those. I got 20, a natural 20.
nice.
And a 13.
The 13 is going to hit, but it's going to splash harmlessly.
Okay.
But
I'll give you that.
you can roll double damage. Roll twice for the crit.
It wasn't a crit. It was an unnatural.
Oh, a modified 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's still the 20 hit. So go ahead and roll damage on the first.
11 damage. Pushes it back 10 feet. If the big, large thing can be pushed back 10 feet, it didn't before. Let's kill the mimic.
Now that it seems to have revealed itself, it does actually seem. It definitely doesn't go back 10 feet. It goes back maybe 6 inches. But you see the whole of this mausoleum just kind of as it's hit with the force of this Eldritch Blast.
This is
And
great.
it is Hades.
All right, so reeling back a little bit in surprise, her eyes probably widen, the widest you've seen them all night. It's still not full bore, but they're just slightly. And she kind of stumbles back a little bit, but suddenly she's gonna hear that kind of obnoxiously bored resolve sneaks back into her face, and she is going to. I am a multi-classed battle master, so I'm going to use a superiority dice, and I'm going to try to do a menacing attack on this thing. So, yeah, but I think I need to hit it first. So, but I'm going to make a weapon attack.
All right.
Oh my, that is a 9.
That is not going to be a successful attack.
Yeah, okay. Well, she is probably still recoiling a little bit from the shock. It's not every day that she faces a mimic, so she's just going to kind of swing, but kind of miss just barely. You hear a whoosh as a sword hits nothing but air. And that's all I'm going to do.
All right. And it is now the mimic's turn.
Oh, fun.
And the mimic, you kind of see these pillars that were on this kind of in the front part of the mausoleum, almost like part of the facade, actually kind of just peel away like stones shouldn't. and just kind of and form what could be some kind of arms. And the whole of this open door mouth actually lurches toward you, Solitude. And it is actually going to attempt to bite you. Wooden teeth and jaws right in front of your face, like a dog that was pulled short on a chain as it doesn't quite connect with you. You smell the rancid odor of death coming from its mouth. And Yara, it is your turn.
Alrighty. Seeing this incredibly large mimic in front of me, there's not much running through Yara's head about what he can deal with this. I mean, he's devoted his life to fighting undead, and suddenly there's this thing, and like, oh well. Yeah. So he's just gonna hit it with a sword. As you do.
Alright.
So 18, does that hit?
That is a hit.
Right, and second attack is hold off the and second attack is a math, jeez. 26.
Yeah. Yep, those are both hits.
Alright, so the first attack does 15 damage. And the second attack does 17 damage.
That's okay. All right. That's the end of that. We're about to go back to the top of the initiative order. And before we continue on with this fight with this mimic, I need to take a quick break. So let's take a 3 to 5 minute break so you can get refreshments, use the restroom, whatever you need to do, and we'll be right back here.
All right, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Guys, in a few minutes.
I've considered making a list of like if this happens, you know, like the Jeff Foxworthy, if this happens, you're a redneck. If this happens, it's a mimic list.
That's awesome.
If you sit down to eat and something bites your butt, it might be a mimic.
I've never fought a mimic before, but I've been playing for less than a year. I've been playing since like December, and the first campaign I got in on was with DM Ty, and it just became the running joke. Everything's a mimic, like everything's a mimic. The guy's a mimic. It's a mimic, and the boat you're traveling on becomes a mimic and eats you. Ah, you all die.
I built but it's really a joke dungeon. It's a giant empty castle. There's no signs of life in it anywhere. And there's a sign over the door, and it's in a specific language, kind of this kind of like not giant. It might be giant. It might be in a different language, but I try to make sure that no one in the party actually speaks it. but if not, if they have they can read it off the bat. But it's all dusty and weather. And if they clean it off, it reads Mimic Retirement Home. And basically, it's a giant castle filled with mimics.
All right, I'll be right back. I actually go hit the restroom.
Yeah, I gotta quickly get something to drink.
All right. I'm back. Sorry, I have kids, and they were knocking on the door to my room here, wanting to say goodnight. So can't ignore them.
No.
I will say, you guys are keeping me on my toes tonight.
Well, good.
But we'll see what you guys do with what you're handling now, and what may or may not come next.
Yes.
I have never fought an actual vampire before, so if this is an actual vampire, I'm going to be pretty excited about that. So.
Looks like we're just waiting on Scott and Luke. Are you here? Or are you?
17.
So, aside from the technical difficulties that we had getting this thing even going, I hope you guys are having fun so far.
I'm having a blast.
Awesome.
An
Glad we
elder
could work this out. Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah. Oh my. I had
Marpaw's is the only one I've.
Yeah.
I was saying, Marpaw's, you're the only one I've played with before.
Yeah.
I've returned.
So Luke is back. We're just waiting on Scott, and then I can continue trying to kill you guys.
Yeah. So far it's great. So I'm ready to.
I want to lose some hit points, man.
I might as well tell Jake. I don't know if you heard my dungeon. I love mimics. So I built a joke dungeon, really. It's basically this huge giant castle. There's no one apparently living there, but there's a sign above the front entrance, and it's in an ancient language, depending on whether or not the party member has it or not. And if they read it in the language it's in, it says "Mimic Retirement Home."
That's awesome. I have to say, I've only ever used a mimic once before, and I don't know if any of you have listened to Barker's Winds of Spir Saline games, but
Yeah.
he had, in one of the early games, he had an entire room that all the furniture was mimics, and that's what they had to fight, and I loved that. That was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, that was
So. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that was the first game that I kind of had that turning point, because at first I kind of thought mimics were a little like standard RPG thing, but then when I saw Barker doing that, that was just wow. Made me like mimics, like in this one too. So.
Yeah, we'll see if you continue to like it, because, well, we're gonna start off at the top of the order here, so it is going to be Condras's turn.
Yes. In that case, I will do the spell Flame Arrows. It's I enchant 10 arrows. I think I will verify after that. They will do 1d6 fire after, but right now I don't attack. So there's some copper flames, violet flames on the arm of Satrus, and 10 goes into his quiver. There's a sort of light coming from it, and now he will be able to launch fire arrows at it. And I'm gonna send in bonus action Xabu doing a help another action on the next of my allies who is attacking the mimic. So the big serpent will try to lure the monster, and the next one who attacks will have advantage on the first attack.
Awesome.
End of turn.
And that next person will be Solitude.
Yeah. Okay.
And as you're preparing for your attack, you feel the hill, the tremors in the hill again.
So it's on to me?
Yep, you're up.
Okay. And next person gets advantage on their attack, you said, correct?
Yeah, the first attack. So your first Eldritch Blast, I assume, will get advantage. It's not too bad. Go ahead.
Who's after me, by the way?
Hades follows you.
I'm going to hold off. I'm going to back up probably a good, 10 feet, but I'm going to hold off on my action. I'll let someone else take advantage of that advantage on a melee hit, because I think we're still getting a 1d4 radiant damage, aren't we?
How long? I don't know how long that lasts. Or yeah, no. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking of something else. Yeah, I don't know how long that lasts. That was in the previous fight.
About a minute. So it would by the time Jar ended, it would have.
I'll still hold off because what I was going to use it doesn't involve rolling an attack. Oh wait, it doesn't matter because any attack, the next attack. All right, so I'm gonna cast create bonfire underneath it. And you create a bonfire on the ground. Is this thing up off the ground? Is it standing on legs, or is it shimmying across it?
It's just on the ground. It's still where it's touching the ground. It still looks like a
building.
Like a building.
Create a bonfire is in the what is it? EE expansion from Wizards of the Coast. Locrius used it in
Elemental Evil.
Yeah, Elemental Evil.
My flame arrow spell is coming from the same place.
You create a bonfire on the ground that you can see within range. Till the spell ends, the bonfire fills a 5-foot cube. Any creature in the bonfire space when it casts a spell succeed a Dex saving throw or take 1d8 fire damage. It must also make a saving throw when it enters the bonfire space for the first time on a turn or ends its turn there. It increases damage 1d8 when at 5th level, 2d8 at 11th level. Mine would be 5th because it maxes out at 5, so 2d8 as it sits in this bonfire and burns.
Awesome. Sounds good. So if you want to do that,
I do.
Go for it.
And that's 10 fire damage. Just erupts. You just see it kind of billow out from underneath the sides of the building, and smoke starts coming up as this bonfire just lights underneath it and starts trying to burn through it. This magical energy just can't be put out by smothering it. And
All right. So if you're done, then yes, it's Hades.
And I back up about 10 feet, give him a little more space, and that's all my spells, boys.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna make this count. I think I'm gonna do the same thing I did last turn, and I'm gonna try to attack, and if I hit, I'm gonna try to do a menacing strike, but...
You have advantage.
Alright, so I have advantage. Oh, okay, that was an 8 and a crit, so I'll take the crit.
Yeah, nice.
Alright.
Alright, so on that,
crit.
I get to... So if I hit a creature, I can expend a superiority dice, and that creature must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, that creature is frightened. So after kind of missing her first strike, she's gonna come in again and just look this thing. I don't think this thing has eyes, but she's just gonna stare into this thing with her kind of cold, dead gaze, and she's gonna just deliver a hearty slash across it. First of all.
All right. So that's a crit. So you roll damage twice, then add your strength modifier.
Gotcha. So 9 plus 8. That is 20 damage. And then it has to make a Wisdom saving throw, DC 16. Or it's frightened.
It fails
Ooh.
its saving throw. However, it's irrelevant because as you slash at this thing, you see the whole facade of the stone and wood and everything shimmers and becomes almost glistening, and then just in an instant the whole thing just goes and collapses into this like gel. The whole mausoleum just collapses into this gel as you have killed this mimic.
Oh my.
I need everybody to roll perception.
I'm getting that.
Roll the 17.
All right, so Yara and Condris, you notice behind you as this thing collapses. You can hear behind you because you went you guys were at the right mausoleum, and you realize now that you're kind of done fighting this thing. You can hear a shuffling sound, as if something heavy is dragging across the ground. And you turn and see that the other two mausoleums have been closing in on you. And they've kind of elongated and have their columns, their door models are open, and the columns have peeled off like pseudopods, and they're lunging for you guys. And I need everybody to make a dexterity saving throw.
Do we have the +2 of the paladin? Or I am too far?
Yep.
Okay.
I was looking like...
Straight dex or acrobatics?
If you want to throw acrobatics on there, go for it.
Okay. I got a 13. Posted something in the chat. Be right back.
I just use another copper call feature. I have 4 for each rest I could before I need to it again, and I did the saving throw for my snake. He had 20, so
I got a big old 9.
So
sorry about that, guys.
It looks like Yara and Hades have failed your saving throws. So as the ground beneath your feet, as these things are lurching at you, these two other mausoleum mimics, suddenly the ground beneath your feet, it kind of buckles up drops and then bursts all around you. And Hades and Yara, you are knocked backwards and knocked prone. Condrus and Solitude, you kind of ride the wave. But what you see is between these mimics that were kind of coming towards you and where you are, this massive form bursts forth out of the ground, casting the black carriage and the four nightmares skyward. And as the carriage and the nightmares the nightmares are trying to get their bearings and take flight. As this comes down, this massive form this thing is gargantuan, so big that as its jaws open wide, it just clasps in on the nightmares, and half of the carriage goes flying, and you can't even see these other mimics as your vision is completely obscured by the form of a massive purple worm that has burst forth from the ground between you.
Is this payback for us demolishing your night guy and not having a chance to do anything with it? We're supposed to be fighting undead, and now there's a purple worm and mimics.
I'll be honest, stuff was all planned. I'm not just making stuff up.
It's alright if you did. That's awesome either way.
Well.
So now there is a giant purple worm.
All right.
And
same initiative, or you want us to roll new?
Yeah, we haven't actually left the initiative order, and I believe it was Hades that dealt the killing blow.
Yep.
So.
And next in initiative order is the purple worm. And I'm going to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it just happens that Hades is the one getting attacked.
It's not going to attack the mimics? The mimics not in this at all?
You know what? Yeah, they are actually in this, so let me do that.
You're welcome, Hades.
It's still Hades. I rolled a D4, I changed it to a D6, and it's still Hades' number that came up. I believe one of the last things, when we came back from the break, I believe you said, I want to lose some hit points.
Is my wish
that might be happening.
Oh man! I'm so excited.
Well, let's see what happens, because as this worm bursts up and it just kind of chomps down on these, one of the nightmare actually, as it opens its jaws and is coming towards you, you see one of the nightmares scrambles out and flees off into the distance. Part of the harness is still hanging, and bits of nightmare still burning kind of in its teeth. And these teeth are like these massive, like 6-foot spikes, it seems. And it is just lunging down at you. Oh, and you are so lucky. As it lurches down, I rolled an 11. As it lurches down, one of the nightmares, as it's trying to clamp its jaws, one of the nightmares still fighting inside its mouth, just kind of kicks and prevents the jaw from fully clamping down on you.
You gotta chew what's in your mouth first.
And from somewhere in the background, behind this thing, about maybe 30 feet behind it, you see the earth shoots up, and you see the tail end of this purple worm, and it just kind of lashes out and strikes at one of the mimics with its stinger, this massive stinger on its tail end. And you see this stinger just plunge into one of the mimics. And 6, 7, 9, 16. Fails. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, you can see this mimic just starts like going through changes of parts of it seem to take on appearances of treasure chests and doors and random dungeon attire, places it must have seen in its life. As, good lord, this poison from this purple worm stinger just begins to course through it. And then you hear kind of a sucking sound as the stinger withdraws from this mimic. And it is now the mimic's turn. And the mimic, you just see this pseudopod kind of lashing out. Both of the mimics are, because the worm is between it, just kind of lash out and are attacking at it. And yeah, that one failed. One of the mimics seems to land a blow on the purple worm. And it is now Yara's turn.
Yara will look at this. Well, first of all, he'll get up. And he'll look at this purple worm thing. And he'll look at his teammates, the ones he's fought beside before. And he'll look at them and he'll just say, "Get out of here now!" And he will point at this purple worm, and he will cast the spell Compelled Duel. So the worm has to make a Wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
DC is 16. If it fails, it's drawn to me, compelled by my divine demand. It has disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures other than me for 1 minute. And it has to make a Wisdom saving throw each time it attempts to move more than 30 feet away from me. The spell ends if I attack any other creature. If I cast a spell, it targets another hostile creature. If a creature friendly to me damages the worm or casts a harmful spell on it, or if I end my turn more than 30 feet away from it. But otherwise, it's forced pretty much to attack me unless it wants to have disadvantage.
All right. So it has to make a Wisdom saving throw for this to take effect?
Yeah.
That's
In all honesty, I hope it succeeds. It seems like it could be bad.
What is the DC?
16.
It fails.
All right, we're taking on the
So
mimic.
if it and this was the purple worm, right?
Yeah.
So if it attacks anyone else other than you, it has disadvantage.
Yes. And if it
And if
it tries
anybody else
to
hits it,
the spell ends. That's anyone else who hits it that's friendly to me. The spell ends. But
right.
if it tries to move 30 feet away from me, it has to make a Wisdom saving throw.
Okay. It sounds like Yara's claimed the purple worm for himself.
So yeah, Yara's just yelling, "Get out of here, go! I'll handle this."
Well, Condrus, it's your turn. What are you going to do?
I know if I attack him, the spell will fade. So, but it's a purple. He won't survive that, I think. Okay, in that case, Satras will say, "What says you? Do we attack or not?" He checks on his allies, and waiting for another rule of what the paladin says.
I would say stay behind the paladin. Attack the mimics. Provoke it to attack the worm.
Okay. So in that case, Satyrus will shoot arrows at the last mimic. Okay. So there's a clear path between me and one mimic, right?
Yeah, you can see them.
It's
They're
a
big
huge
enough that
building.
the worm isn't blocking them.
Okay, we'll shoot 2 flaming arrows at them. I have, whoa, okay, a 19 on my dice and 20. Rolling great tonight. Okay, so 29 does it, and a crit will hit 2, so, okay. First attack, which is not a crit, will do 13 fire and magical damage. And the second one, which is a crit, I doubled the d6 of fire. 23.
All right.
And Satyrus will go back a bit with Xabu on his tails and trying to get as much space possible between him and the purple worm. And that's it.
All right, Solitude.
Homie has definitely limited our options here, huh? All right. Yeah, so Eldritch Blast. The closest mimic to the worm. And I'm going to attempt to position myself so that way I'm close to the paladin within the buffer, the 10 feet, but keeping the worm and him in between the mimics. But the mimics are big, massive buildings, so I should be able to get shots off at him.
Yeah.
All right, so I have 21 and 19.
Both hit.
Let's see. 12 damage total. So just purple streaks, and I almost see like the Eldritch Blast coming out almost in like shapes of little weasels and kind of like squirming through the air and just slamming in. Push them back about 6 millimeters since they're big honking beasts and 10 feet isn't going to work, but just keep pelting on them and try to keep the worm in between me and them. And
all right.
Yeah. And that does it for me.
Alright, so I was knocked prone by this giant tremor as this giant purple worm burst out of the ground. And now I'm sorry, did the purple worm kind of closed around me? And then kind of got back up and reared and started going for
No, it tried to snap at you, and it just couldn't close its jaws.
Okay.
So, I mean, it hasn't fully reared back up yet. It's kind of in a position where...
But it's looking at let's look at a paladin over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, kind of sitting on her back, Hades has this wild expression that none of you have ever seen her have before, and you can't tell if she's terrified or if she's just excited beyond belief. And so I understand that if I use up all my movement, I can get out of being prone. Yeah?
It only takes half of your movement to stand up.
Alright, so I'm going to do that. And then I am going to look at this mimic that Solitude just Eldritch Blasted, and I am going to rear back again and just let loose another one of my Mouthborn Witch Bolts against this mimic. That is a 16 to hit on the spell attack. 26.
That's a hit.
Sorry. All right, nice.
Yep, that's a hit.
And D12. That's a 4. I'm just casting it at first level again. But yeah. This Eldritch Blast is Witch Bolt is not nearly as clean as the other one. This one is kind of wild and frantic, and yeah, you've never seen Hades like this ever. She's always been kind of calm and collected and bored, but she seems excited now.
Surprisingly, as the Witch Bolt hits, you see this mimic that has already been pierced by the tail of this worm. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, as it were, as the thing just collapses into another pile of goo. And there's only one mimic left back there. So you did take that one out. It is the purple worm's turn. And you can see that as its jaws had clamped and it's kind of in near where you were, it kind of in the act of rising, that it just swivels its jaws around to where Yura is, and without hesitation, it will attempt to bite you. That is a 19 modified to a 28.
That is a hit.
You are going to take, get my D8s out here. I'm rolling low, so you're going to take 17 points of piercing damage as these jaws just bite down on you.
Alright, I'm going to use my Stone's Endurance to reduce the damage by...
Yep. It's a D12, isn't it?
Yep, and I'm rolled max, so it would be 15. So I take 2.
Okay, but you also need to make a dexterity saving throw.
Yep. I sensed this was coming.
In that case, I will use again a copper cow. Like I said, I have 4 users. I will say, "No, my friend!" And we'll have advantage on that saving throw. So it's been 3 times I use it.
Thank you.
Trying.
Very much thank you. I rolled a 4 and a critical, so...
You just avoid, you feel as it bites you, the pull as it tries to pull you into its maw, but you squirm out of the way and avoid being swallowed by this giant purple worm.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Can I not be swallowed, but can I remain stuck to its teeth?
Sure.
Alright.
You're kind of tangled up in its teeth, and that's what prevents you from getting fully on swallowed by this thing.
Alright.
I think you might be going for a ride.
Well, if he's pulling all the aggro, what is it going to do now? It can't attack anybody. It's going to attack itself to get at him.
It has disadvantage on attacks other than you, correct?
Yep.
There are 4 actually, because you're in its teeth. There's the 3 of you around, and a mimic. The mimic is number 4, and I rolled 4. So the Mimic, and that's a 18 to hit. So the Mimic, the other Mimic just took the Stinger again. Whoops. Getting
That's a
little
lot
ahead
of
myself.
damage.
Let's see. So the Mimic takes 18 piercing damage as this tail lashes down and hits it. Actually, just roll that. I forgot to roll at disadvantage. That was the low one anyway. And it needs to make a Constitution saving throw. It succeeds, so it's only going to take half of 12d6. 10, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 27, 33, 36, 40. It's going to take 20 points. So that other Mimic, you see it shudder. It's still standing, but it takes a bunch of damage as this thing pierces into it. The Mimic, actually, you see it begin to move away. And it's your turn.
Yeah. Yay. So I'm tangled in its teeth. So what Yura will attempt to do is to, not climb out of its mouth and then try and climb onto its back.
Okay. Athletics.
Alrighty. That is a 28.
Yeah, you can scramble over, no problem.
Sweet.
So you're climbing up onto its back.
Yep.
All right. And that wasn't an action. That was just to move through. So.
And then he's going to draw his longsword.
Okay.
And while he's on its back, try to start stabbing it.
All right.
So that would be where did I put my? Oh, it's right here. Yeah. Be 25 to hit.
That's a hit.
And modified 20.
That's a hit.
All right. Where is it? Here it is. So that is 7 damage for the first attack, and 12 damage for the second one.
All right. Drawing a little bit of blood on it. First blood.
Purple blood.
And is that the end of your turn then?
Yep.
Condrus.
So there's no Mimic left. There's only the purple worm left with us.
There is one Mimic still there.
Okay, sorry about that. In that case, I would shoot 2 fire arrows at her. 26 with it, and 18. I think it still hits.
Yep.
Okay. First attack. 12 magical and fire. Second one. Same thing. So 12, 12, 24.
24 damage.
Yeah. And after that, Satras says, "What says you? Do we stay or not? That creature is from the earth. She will know we are there. We cannot flee." End of turn.
Incidentally, because I know you mentioned this early, this purple worm is indeed a monstrosity. Solitude. What say you?
I say that I unmute myself first. Hearing I can't make up the cliff walker. Cerise screamed this out. I'd respond, if there is no running, we must fight. I'm not sure this mission is over. We killed a couple vampires, but that might be the one we're looking for. And I'd like to roll. What would I roll to possibly know if the purple worm hunts by like sound, sight, tremors, movement? If I could at all, because I do have proficiency in nature.
Yeah, you can roll a nature check to see what you might know.
And with a natural run, I know nothing.
Do you want me to roll? I have advantage on favorite and me, so I could try and confirm that.
Then I
Go
guess.
for it.
Yeah.
What do we know about these things? How did they fight? How did they attack?
19 nature check.
Yeah, you know that the purple worm does not have eyes. It spends most of its life tunneling through the earth, and that it senses movement by tremors.
Yeah, we'll relay the information. We cannot flee.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's much of it. You can continue your turn.
If we run, he will attack us. There is no getting away. But I might be able to get him to move. And I'm going to cast Thaumaturgy. You're saying that the mimic is moving away now, like backing away from the worm, knowing that it's damn well going to get hurt from this thing?
Yep.
I'm going to cast Thaumaturgy and do a harmless tremors in the ground for up to 1 minute, and I'm going to cast it right underneath, like the leading edge of it, walking away, so it's going to walk over it, of tremors right underneath this mimic.
Okay.
Trying to draw its attention over there. It might have disadvantage on the attack, but it's not going to be hitting any of us.
All right, and
And you guys just feel a rumble start from underneath as he kind of waves his hand. This rumble starts up in the distance underneath the mimic. And I would guess you'd see the head of the worm kind of shoot around.
that would take us to Hades.
You said the worm tunneled. It was muted, sorry. Worm's underground, a worm still above ground following the mimic, or we don't know yet. Sorry.
Yeah, it's above ground. It's got Yara on its back, basically, that was just stabbing at it. And this tremor just started, so it hasn't really reacted yet.
Alright. Well, I think I'm going to... Yeah, I'm going to see what Solitude is doing, and I immediately realize that he's trying to divert it away, and I'm not trying to screw that up, so I'm going to cast True Strike on myself. So then I'm pretty sure just the next time I hit any target with my weapon, it should hit automatically, or I add 20 to it. I think I have it here. And then I'm just going to end my turn, I still have that wild, ridiculous look, and it's starting to almost, like, kind of perch into like a grin, and you've never seen Hades smile. Ever, she's always just the moody teen who hates everything, but not this time.
You get advantage on your next strike with True Strike.
Yeah. All right, nice. And then I am probably just going to stay put. And that's the end of my turn.
Don would kind of stay calm. Fighting in anger never wins.
It is. Oh, go ahead.
She doesn't even. She's just breathing heavily, staring at this worm, and she doesn't even notice Solitude's words of calm.
All right. The worm is going to throw its head back in a quick whipping motion, and I need Yara to make a dexterity saving throw to stay on its back.
That is a 19.
You barely. You feel it trying to buck you off, and it actually straightens itself up, and you manage to hold on to it, and what it does next is it just starts to retreat down into the earth again, and you can see that the ground. You can see that the ground is rapidly rising to you, and it's got enough movement that it would be able to withdraw into the earth with you on its back. So you'll need to adjust your position or probably jump off of it, or whatever you want to do. I'm not telling you how to react to it.
Jump off.
Or you can attempt to ride it.
When given the opportunity to ride a giant purple worm, you take that damn opportunity. So I'm gonna try and just adjust where I am and attempt to keep holding onto it as it goes.
Can't fault you for that.
Alright, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is the mimic. And looking 1, 2, 3, that is Solitude. As this thing withdraws its head into the earth, you almost hear the tail whistling through the air as it comes down at you. Oh, does 14 hit you?
No, I have 16. Boy, do I wish it did.
I said, oh yeah, it's disadvantage because it doesn't matter. I rolled 5 both times. It bounced off of a 19 onto a 5.
I almost wish that it did hit me.
So the stinger, it almost it just ting right into the earth, and it is now. The mimic's not attacking anything. The mimic's still trying to move slowly away. It only makes it about 10 feet. You're underground. Because you're in the tunnel that this thing had already dug, there's a lot of earth kind of cascading around you, but you still have kind of a grip on this thing. You can't see, but it's freaking big, so, I mean, if you want to strike at it, you can. But you're not gonna be able to get a full swing, so I think you're gonna have to attack with disadvantage.
All right.
If that's what you do.
So it made a tunnel underground, obviously.
Yep.
Can I see from my position if it went through like the underground part of an actual mausoleum, or if it actually like?
You can't really see anything because of the dirt that's just all around you. It's all loose earth, stones and dirt, maybe an occasional piece of coffin or bone, skeleton of a long dead, long buried tenant of the cemetery.
All right, let's do this. So I'm gonna make my attack rolls with disadvantage.
Yep.
So, god damn it. Oh, okay. So the first attack is a do math in my head. 26 to hit.
Yep.
And second attack is a oh, come on, do better than that. Oh, no. The second attack is a 12.
So only the first one will hit.
Alright, and that is a 14 damage.
All right. So, where is it? We're back around to Chondrus. The worm has gone underground with your friend and ally astride it. The mimic is retreating, and there are the splintered remains of the carriage and a few pieces of Nightmare smoldering. And you notice that where these mimics were previously, the far left one, the one that has already been reduced to gelatin, you can see that where it was, there's the remnants of a foundation, and kind of jutting up from it is the remnants of it actually looks like the mimic may have formed itself over where an existing mausoleum used to be. There's pieces of ruined foundation and rotten coffins, and there's a partially disintegrated stone sarcophagus, and the lid has been knocked askew on this thing. And you can see, kind of gleaming a little bit from this, you can catch that there is some kind of an ornate coffin inside the sarcophagus. And about the time you see this, the lid of the coffin starts to rise. And it is your turn. And I would say, just so you know, that's probably about 50, 60 feet away.
Okay. In that case, I will shoot two arrows at it. If I have cover or half cover or something, because it's in the coffin, you can tell me ahead. And I will say to my companion, "Quick! There's another there!" And I point in the direction of the left mausoleum, and I'm moving my speed with my snake on my tail. So do I have a penalty on attack rolls or Is it there bonus to AC? I'm not sure what cover in that edition.
What is raising the coffin lid up would be considered full cover. You can't see anything in it.
Okay. Oh,
So at best you could hit the coffin.
okay. In that case, I will just do the dash with my snake and me, so we'll be 60 feet closer.
That'll bring you right up to it for the next round.
Nice. Come on, Xabu! And the big snake follows. Come on, you! And I motion to my allies.
Solitude.
All right. So this sarcophagus is opening in Saras. I think I might be pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry, boss. 2 S's and get that extra in there. Saras. He's just barreled towards this thing. And have we caught a glimpse of anything that's in it, a hand or anything like that, or is it just starting to creep open?
It's just creeping open, and it's actually opening so that the lid is blocking whatever's in it. So the opening is actually away from you.
And we have a worm that's holding one of our companions hostage underground, a mimic that's running away in terror. Sounds like a phenomenal night, boys. So, upon seeing this sarcophagus start to open, realizing that this is obviously going to be another undead fiend of some sort, the meditation balls in Solitude's hand start spinning even faster. He's getting excited again about this. His mission from his patron is to rid the world of this type of things. And he almost has the same look that Hades does. And he casts Sacred Flame down onto the sarcophagus, which no cover protects from. Has to make a dexterity saving throw of 16, or it gets hit with 2d8 radiant damage. And where it's in a sarcophagus, I don't know how much dexterity it has.
It fails.
Yay,
Whatever
2d8.
it is.
And rolled 2 8s. 16 points of radiant damage as this light source just comes gleaming down out of this overcast sky that you described earlier. Just a ray of light seems to break through right down onto this now open sarcophagus or exposed sarcophagus, and just a radiant burst of like flame comes up and engulfs the entire sarcophagus for 16 points of radiant damage.
And you hear from within the coffin a female scream out, a woman's scream, a cry of anguish as a form suddenly lurches out of the burning coffin and tumbles across the floor of the remnants of the mausoleum, and rises, kind of lands in a crouch, and rises up and looks around it and looks at you, and you see a woman. If you thought the previous vampire spawn was the representation of beauty, paled in comparison to this woman. She seems to be just a magnificent, not only beautiful but athletic, and she is wearing similar garb but almost dressed like royalty, if a little the clothing is a bit decaying. And she looks around at all of you And the closest one to her at this point is going to be Condrus.
Yep.
Do you have any natural immunities to charming or anything like that?
Nope.
I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom.
I'm going to use my last imminence deflection and put it back on her.
Is it a spell? Is it possible?
It's not a spell.
It's not a spell? Okay, then she's good to do it. Sorry.
Wisdom saving throw.
Could have been epic. Could have been epic. She charms herself into liking it.
16.
You are completely enamored by this woman that has emerged from this coffin, and you can't even comprehend why you would want to try to harm her. You feel as though she's somebody you've been waiting for, and that you must do everything in your power to protect her. You have been charmed by the vampire.
Okay.
So basically you have to do everything you can to protect this woman. Hades.
Alright, the guy who's been rolling high all night suddenly gets charmed by the vampire. Okay.
This always ends well.
Yeah.
This is where our luck runs out. Alright. So from this burst of radiant energy kind of falling down, and this vampire, or true vampire, emerging from this coffin and just kind of radiating. I imagine that since Hades doesn't see her in quite the same light as perhaps Sarthos did. Saracenthos. So she has this absolute hatred for anything that would stand above her, and that's so she and sometimes she can contain these urges, but suddenly when she's just provoked like this, she can't hold back anymore. So she is going to use how far would you say I'm about 30 feet away or closer to this vampire?
Sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to cast Misty Step, and I'm going to step right in front of this vampire, and I'm going to use I'm going to attack, and I haven't been using this at all tonight, but I do actually have an extra attack granted by my fighter class. So I'm going to attack this pompous aristocrat twice. The first attack is a 14. And the second attack is a... Oh, wait, no, sorry, with the strength. 17 and 18 to hit.
Those are both going to hit.
Alright, nice. So the first is going to do 8 damage, and the second hit is going to do 5 damage. So I just right in front of her, and then just try to, and just a good slash, X-shaped slash across her. just with all the ferocity I can muster. And that'll be the end of my turn.
And she reacts by just looking at where you struck her. And she just looks you right in the face and probably catches you completely off guard as she just attempts to punch you right in the face.
Okay.
She seems to be have been affected by her long time in her coffin, as she throws kind of a weak punch and just kind of misses you with it. That
Okay.
was a yeah. That was sorry.
I got 15 armor
I got
class.
thrown
So.
off by something. Yeah, it was 12.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So you're gonna suddenly see a burst of light as you and the worm come flying out of the earth, and this is gonna have to be with disadvantage. Let's see, those two. Solitude, you're the only one that didn't move closer. Does an 18 hit you?
Yeah, myself?
Yep.
Yes, 16 is my armor class.
Okay. As this giant worm with Yara astride it bursts out of the earth.
It would have disadvantage from his spell.
That was with disadvantage.
Okay.
That was
Just
with
make sure.
disadvantage. And it is going to do 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 27 points of piercing damage. And I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, I totally missed that dex save. I only rolled a 2.
Oh.
This is going to be bad, huh?
As it bites down on you, its mouth completely engulfs you.
Yeah, how many points of damage did you say?
You took 28 points of piercing damage, and you are now swallowed.
As I get swallowed, can I, as a tiefling, once per long rest, I get hellish rebuke as a reaction.
Yeah?
All right, so as this thing chomps down on me, you just kind of see my hand with the 3 meditation orbs in it glows like with a purple copper tinge to it. I just slap it as I kind of go in, doing 6d10 worth of hellish rebuke upon this thing. I'll let you check up whatever you need to.
No, I'm just looking to follow along. You tell me what it does.
Okay. And the creature, it does have to make a dex save of, what was it?
There is no dexterity saving throw that can prevent it from taking this damage while you are in its mouth.
Sure enough.
I'm not gonna let. I mean, it swallowed you, and you're reacting with fire into its mouth.
So you just see this gout of flame just poof out of this thing's mouth as he attempts to swallow me for 27 points of fire damage that just gets backlashed upon this worm from inside of its face. Nice, soft, gushy part.
Nice. That was 27, you said?
Yeah, which should totally be doubled because I'm inside of his squishy little mouth.
All right.
So we have one teammate who is now charmed and wants to kill all of us. One riding the worm. Myself have been swallowed by the worm, and you're staring at the vampire.
With the
So-
rage.
Okay. So that was the worm's turn. The mimic's still trying to move away. So Yara, you're back out in the open. You're on the back of this worm, which has just swallowed your friend. What are you gonna do?
Would I have seen it swallow my friend?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You had
Uh-oh.
the best seat in the house for that action.
All right. From where I am I on a horizontal surface or a vertical surface?
Because it lashed down to bite him, you would be more or less horizontal.
Okay, I don't know how feasible this is, but I want to have Yura switch from his long sword to his great sword.
Okay.
Attack the worm, or try and cut into the worm so that he can get inside of the worm.
Okay. What I'll have you do is roll a normal attack, just to see if you can cut through its hide, and then you can mitigate that. We can mitigate that as you're slicing into it. But let's see how this attack roll works.
That is a 22 to hit.
You're able to dig your sword in and get purchased, but this thing has such thick hide, and actually where you are on its back is kind of like armor plating, and so you would have to you kind of get your sword in between the plates, and it's going to take you at least another action to pry the plate or start working a hole open.
All right,
You can go ahead and roll damage though. You did damage it.
Yeah. That is 11. Oh wait, no, it's my greatsword, so that's even more damage. That is 17 damage.
All right. Condris. You hear
Yep.
the vampire. She just looked at you, and she says, "Protect me, Guardian."
Okay. What do I do now?
And you see Hades is standing directly in front of her, trying to harm this woman who you wish to protect with everything that is a part of your being.
I'm gonna do what I do best. I'm gonna attack. Attack Hades, I mean. The only one I see, I think. Satras will say, "I'm sorry, she needs help. You're wrong." And I have a 20 of AC, I think I hit.
Sorry, what was the number? 20?
20.
20. Yeah, that hits.
13. Does it hit?
Yeah. So 13 damage.
No.
Gotcha.
No.
13 of AC for the second attack.
13 to hit.
Yeah, second attack.
Okay. That. Wait, I'm sorry. Is that damage or is that the attack roll? I'm sorry.
No, it's the attack roll of the second damage. I should have.
Yeah, he's attacking twice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One hit, 13 misses. What's your AC?
15.
Okay, the second attack
Yeah.
misses.
Only the first attack hit.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. You take 11 magic and fire damage as one of the arrows, only one, hit you.
Ouch. Okay.
Better than being eaten by a worm.
True.
Yep.
True.
And
Solitude. Or Chondrus. Is there anything you can do, Chondrus? I think you just have the 2 actions, or 2 attacks, right?
yeah, that's pretty much it. I keep the snake nearby me. He will stay there, and that's pretty much it for Xabu. So it's Solitude's turn in the gullet of the monster.
All right, Solitude. You are going to take damage at the start of your turn.
Woohoo!
That's 6d6. You take 14 points of acid damage.
Fun. 14 points, okay.
And check something here real quick. And
Gotta love that and.
okay, I just wanted to double check. You can attack, but you are blinded and restrained, so all of your attacks have disadvantage.
All right. And how many points of damage again was it? I'm sorry. 16?
10, 14.
No,
14 points of acid. You feel this worm's digestive juices trying to digest you.
Okay. All right, so just totally constricted inside of this thing's gullet. I can hear the smashing coming from above of a greatsword into this thing's hard exoskeleton. And as I have acid being poured on me and I see this giant picture of this toothy maw that I'm in, I just take and slap both of my hands along the inside of its throat, and I cast poison spray. I extend my hand toward a creature that I can see within range and project a puff of noxious gas from my palm. The creature must succeed on a con save throw or take 1d12 poison damage. Actually, it's 2d12 for me at this level. Can he make a con save from inside? Almost trying to either damage him enough to kind of kill him or maybe get him to attempt to regurgitate me because he doesn't want this in him.
I rolled a natural 1. It does, however, have a plus 11 to its constitution.
It's looking to beat 16.
So with a 12, it does not beat your saving throw, so you can go ahead and do the damage.
Now I gotta find a D12. How often do you use a D12?
Don't let Matt Cook hear you say that.
You're using Witch Bolt.
I do have Witch Bolt, but I'm out of spells to cast that. So do 2 D12. One hit with a 12, one is a 9, so looking at 21 points of poison. noxious gas I just kind of envelop into its skin on the inside of its throat, either trying to get this thing to throw me up or just do enough damage to hopefully take it down.
Yeah, you can feel the insides kind of constrict as you do this damage, almost like some kind of a gag reflex, but it keeps you down.
Lucky me. This is great. I love it.
And it is now the vampire's turn. She is going to lash out at Hades. She just suddenly lunges at you. And that is the first attack is she reaches out with her hand to strike you for a 28.
That's a hit.
I'm going to assume that's a hit.
Yeah.
And as her fist connects with you this time, it deals 7 points of bludgeoning damage. And as she hits you, she kind of rolls her fist across your face and kind of follows through and does this thing where she like spins you around, and she now has you pulled up against her and is holding you tight to her. And you can hear her teeth scrape as she opens her mouth to bite you. For 18.
That hits too.
And you are going to take 5 points of piercing damage. And as her teeth pierce into you, you feel the necrotic energy seeping into you for 4 points of damage. And your hit point maximum is now reduced by 4 points. And as she withdraws her teeth from your neck, you hear her whisper in your ear, "All of you shall be mine."
But does my copper attunement still work inside of this thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Knowing that like, talking to what's that? Saras is going to be useless. I'm still ruining that, ain't I?
Yeah. Satyrus.
Satyrus. All right. What is the name of Luke's character again? Because all I got is Luke.
Yara.
Mira?
Yeah.
I would be like, I'm kind of stuck inside of this thing, but I can tell you this. Hades needs your help. She's down there by herself. 2 against 1.
Okay.
Actually,
yeah.
Actually, I want to bring something up.
Yeah.
Now that I think about this, I believe that because Solitude attacked and hit the worm from inside, well, initially with Hellish Rebuke, I believe that ends your compelled duel, correct?
Indeed it does.
Yep.
I think the compelled duel is only supposed to last a minute, though. So think about
each round is only 6 seconds.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long.
And,
it's been maybe a third of that.
Okay.
All right.
And as Hades is hit by my vampire friend, is something? Do I have a change of heart? Or do I have something to maybe? I mean, she's eating my friend. Do I have a saving throw for that, or is
I will let you make the saving throw again.
Okay.
So it's going to be a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna do it. 17. So 20.
17 is what you needed to break free.
Cool.
MVP Sunthros.
So yeah, that's and it's actually Hades' turn.
All right, so I am going to.
You
I'm
are
not gonna
grappled, by the way.
I am grappled. Okay, I
Yeah, 'cause
am
he grabbed you
actually.
behind, so you do. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna shriek from the pain, but I'm going to let out a very angry hiss, and I am just going to try to get out of that grapple. So what's that? Strength
That's a
saving throw?
strength. Yep, strength saving throw.
All right, nice. That is 14.
She is so much stronger than you would think,
Okay,
and you are unable to budge her arm from around you.
and I want to say uh, flavor-wise, that is very, very hard for her to accept that someone else is suddenly able to hold her down and is stronger than her, and she is a little afraid almost now. And yeah, I guess that's all I can do.
The purple worm is still got Yara atop it. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw to see if you stay on its back as it lurches.
That is a 18.
You are still atop it, and the worm actually, you see, it kind of lunges toward where the vampire is holding Hades and where Congress is kind of snapped out of it, but it hesitates. It won't lurch toward it any closer than this. And it is Yara's turn now.
Alright, so using the momentum of this as it lurches towards the vampire, but it doesn't actually go to attack it. And listening to Solitude's attunement from before, Yara will pull his greatsword out of the worm, look towards there's no ceiling to this where it was just like the
Nope.
flat foundations.
Yep, it's all wide open.
And he will I'll tell you what I want to do and see you can say if it's feasible or not. I want to leap from the worm and attack the vampire.
Yes, you can do that.
Like a drop attack?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so go ahead and...
Actually, before I leap, I know what I'm going to do. Before I leap, I'm going to cast Thunder Smite, and then I'm going to attack leap off and attack the vampire. Thunder Smite is the next time I attack, I deal thunder damage as well. But so let's see. I'll pull up so I know what to do. Okay. So
just remember that she is holding Hades in front of her.
We had a good run, Hades. No.
Excellent.
a 24 hit the vampire?
A 24 does indeed hit the vampire.
Alright. So, because of my Thunder Smite, the first time I hit, my weapon rings with thunder that is audible within 300 feet of me. And it does an extra 2d6 thunder damage. And I'll get to the second part after I do the damage stuff. So, 2d8, and then 2d6. And then I'm going to spend a second level spell slot to Divine Smite the vampire.
All right.
For another 48 radiant damage. So that is a total damage of 39. And
Right.
the vampire must make a strength saving throw, or it's pushed 10 feet away and knocked prone.
That is a 14.
DC is 16, so no.
So you knock her away from Hades. Hades is kind of shoved away as you kind of fly in and do this hit. And the vampire goes flying backwards as all of this damage hits her. And she does this kind of tumble and roll into a crouch. And as she rises up from this crouch, she looks at each of you in turn. And she looks down at where your sword has hit and has ripped open kind of below her breasts and across her, like what would be like a, what do you call this, like a corset. You've kind of ripped through her clothing and into this corset and kind of sprung that, and you can see her pale flesh underneath that. And at the same moment you see something else. You all hear within your heads, not telepathically, but via a method that you have grown so used to, it's second nature, as through your copper attunement and your copper ability to speak to one another with communications. Using this method, the vampire speaks to all of you, and Solitude, you hear it even in the belly of this beast.
I was gonna say,
Very well. Very well done. I would have expected none the less from the members of the Unfallen. And as she kind of straightens herself, you can see on her side that is now exposed, you see a copper bite in the form of a tattoo on her skin. And she reaches a hand and she says, not even anything, just in a language that none of you have heard. She says something, and the worm lays down its head, and there's a lurch from inside Solitude as you are disgorged from inside this worm. And in a pile of bile and partially digested nightmare pieces, you emerge on the ground as this vampire looks at all of you and says, "Yes, it is true. I was once a copper jackal myself." And that is where we are going to end.
I was going to say, Solitude gets up and kind of wipes the slime off. I was getting out of there next time anyways, in a little bit. I had that under control.
Oh my god.
Yeah, if you had actually rolled a few more points of damage, you force a Constitution saving throw, and the worm might throw you up anyway.
I actually forgot
So you
about
actually
an ability. I forgot about an ability that I had that would have let me out of there a lot sooner. Anyways, I have Mystic Escape. Anytime I take damage, I can turn invisible and teleport 60 feet.
Yeah.
So I was out next round. Either
Well,
way.
That was cool.
I was trying my.
That was great.
I hope you guys all had fun with that.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I had a blast because you guys. I thought for sure that those vampire spawn were going to be a challenge for you guys. I didn't. You just with that magic circle and then the horror or hunger of Hadar.
Yeah.
That's a wicked combo. I've never even heard of those being used in that way, and I could not think of a way to get my warrior vampire out of that thing.
The only way it was happening is if he teleported out. Magical means.
Yeah, and they don't have. They're just vampire spawn, so they don't even have the ability to like turn into a bat or anything like that.
And even if he did teleport, he had to make a charisma saving throw. Otherwise, he would have
Right.
stayed where he was.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
That was epic. That was epic.
I had to make a few adjustments on the fly because you guys were keeping me on my toes. So yeah, for those watching, we kind of had a discussion in the chat a while ago. I could see probably about close to an hour ago. I could tell there's no way this is going to wrap up without feeling like it's a forced ending. So it's probably going to be about a month or so, but these 4 copper jackals will reunite, and we will pick up exactly where we left off with. Excuse me. Apparently, the long gone Lady Verhelden vampire has been found and has revealed herself to be a copper jackal. So we'll have about a month for you guys to think about that, and I gotta find something bigger than a purple worm to throw at you guys.
Real a purple worm, like wow! I've never fought anything bigger than like an aboleth. That's the most powerful thing I've ever fought. Never anything else.
That is actually the first time I have ever actually used a purple worm, other than kind of it's like a minor, quick thing in the Mines of Madness. At the beginning, I bit one player in half with it, but that's a grinder anyway. And they're like level 1 characters, so they're not doing anything against a purple worm. No, this is the first time I've actually had anything in combat. I love that Yura jumped on top of the thing, and you chose the way you chose to do that and stay in its mouth and use the advantage of that to get on top of it. I got so into this that I didn't even think about this, but we'll remind everybody when we start up again, when we play part 2, that you all will have a point of inspiration.
Yeah. 51.
At the beginning of the next one. 51. At the beginning of the next one, because that was some amazing role playing, some amazing fighting, and I look forward to playing with all of you again. Like I said, I hope everybody had fun. Let me give you guys all a chance if you just want to say anything in closing, and then we'll wrap up. So we'll start with our moody teenager Hades. Why don't you? And then we'll just go down to Luke, Marpause, and Scott.
All
And
right,
I'll
nice.
close out.
All right, so I'm Anastasia. I don't actually have a channel or anything yet, but I have some ideas. And I was playing Hades, the fighter, wizard, warlock. Is supposed to be a fighter and a wizard, but it was very fun to play. Very fun, and I'm so honored that my first online game was with someone like Jacob Norman of Mini Terrain Domains, so that's pretty cool. Thank you.
First game? Congrats, man.
Thank
Nice.
you.
You did good. You did good.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
I'm honored to have been able to do that for you.
Well, thank you. It was great. It really was.
Luke.
The thing I love best about this was the purple worm, simply because there's a running gag with me and my characters at home games where if there's any kind of worm or giant beast with a giant mouth, I have to either jump into it and kill it from the inside or jump onto it and kill it from the outside. So for it to show up, I was like, finally!
Awesome.
So
He just has a thing with hitting that. He hit my mimic joke with my crew.
None of that was planned. So what you're saying is I should throw more purple worms at you. Throw them in multiples.
Part two.
One's enough.
Part 2. 6 purple worms is the title? Oh, okay.
That's just what it's called. Purple worms everywhere.
Purple worm retirement home.
I'll have to put that into the. I'll pose that as a poll question to the Absolute Tabletop group. What do you call a group with more than one purple worm?
Massacre.
Massacre. That's
So,
great.
I'll thank Jake for running this adventure, and also, if you have time, check out his other series, not gaming related, but it's more about his journey to lose weight.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
And
I'll plug that a little bit more at the end too.
Yeah, if there's like a strategy you're using, like a diet stuff or an exercise thing, can you send that my way? Because then
yeah, I'll definitely be covering that stuff on that channel as well.
Alrighty, but thank you.
I think it's my turn. Yeah, Marpause call me Matthew, whatever. I don't have any channels, but it's my second game I play on internet with Jacob again, and I was playing Satress Condress and Silent Ranger. So it was very fun, and I had lots of fun with everyone. So thank you.
All right, and I'm Scott. I was playing Zahn, covered in Ichor Solitude, Settlebrook, Warlock Tiefling, and just once again want to say, had a blast with this, and Jacob, it's a great honor to play with you, having watched a number of your games and just the prestige that you bring to the entire organization of gaming, and congrats on losing, getting into fitness and losing weight. And I will continue to totally butcher and ruin Marpaw's name because I'm not ever going to get that. And definitely check out, if you had a blast and you guys, check out DM Ty. He has a number of things running with a number of other players. A lot of good stuff. They're running through a modified Minds of Phandelver right now, and we have our own series that are going, and a steampunk one that he just started up also. So yeah, DM Ty, check it out. And it's been an honor playing with all you guys.
Well, thank you all for the kind words. As I said, I've been Jake, Mini Terrain Domain. You're watching this on Mini Terrain Domain, where I do dungeon crafting and I run games. I run most of my games through the Absolute Tabletop official group on Facebook. But I also can be found around the Tabletop One Shot RPG group and the RPG Brigade. And as the others have mentioned, so I'll go ahead and plug, I have started a new Facebook page and YouTube account that's kind of a side thing of mine where I'm trying to get healthier. I'm overweight. So I'm trying to do something about that. So you can check out that channel. Is called Fat Jake to Fit Jake, and it's also on Facebook as Fat Jake to Fit Jake. And I'm going to be talking about mostly my own journey, but also trying to help others out. So I always have a lot of goals and things. I did a live on Facebook. I did a live video where I went for a walk for an hour, and for an hour I had people commenting in the chat, and I just talked as I walked. So I'll be doing stuff like that, a lot of impromptu stuff, and talking to a lot of my fitness friends on there. So if that's your thing, check that out. If not, keep watching games here. And I can't wait to play with the rest of you, play with you all in about a month or so for part 2 of this. And stay tuned to MTD because I'm going to be running a few other games. And I know I've got one coming up in April that's going to be a postscript following the end of the Provokers campaign in Matt Click's Aeronoth. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, everybody. It's been great. And we're out of here. Mitada.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
And